with Bob. Oh, yeah.
Poncho Man. We are brought to you by EAS Sports Nutrition by Hoka One One, Polar, Oscar Wellness, Velo Fix. We'll be doing our championship edition at Four Seasons Hualalai, and we're airing on triathlonworld.com. My next guest, Mr. Scot Hollonbeck. It has been far too long, my friend. How are you?
I'm very good.
It's nice to have you back here on the Big Island.
Yeah.
It's been a few years.
It's been a couple years, and I was about to say I think I liked it better when we used to do 5K road races and 10Ks.
We're done in about
it was easy. Yeah, it was over.
10 minutes. Boom.
It was over in the warm-up. But yeah, I'm excited to be here. It's been a lifelong dream to get here fit. So here we are.
You're fit, and you're 46 years old.
That's right.
I love it. So take me back. You were going to swim practice.
Yeah.
And you're on a bike.
Yep.
Get hit by a van. You're what, 14 years old?
Yeah, I was 14. I was 14 years old, but it was actually not just a bike. It was a Schwinn Super Latour 2, and I had bought it the night before.
No way.
Used. Worked all summer. And that was a big-time bike in the 80s.
A big-time Latour?
You know, yeah. So I got one ride in it, and I made it a quarter mile, and then...
Got hit by the van, and your life
hit.
changed. Now, today, this era... There are so many outreach programs. There's Challenge Athletes Foundation. There's so many programs to help people and their families.
Yeah.
What was out there when you were 14 years old?
Nothing. Well, I shouldn't say that. They had...
and where were you living, by the way?
Illinois. So it's rural Illinois, west of Chicago, like north up by the Wisconsin border. And they had a thing called... I was like handicapped children's fund that would help for medical bills.
Right.
And I remember we did end up tapping into that a little bit because it gets really expensive to break your back, Bob.
Sure.
Just in case.
Yeah.
Take some notes.
No.
You never know.
Yeah, no.
So, so not a lot, but I did go to Rehab Institute of Chicago.
Okay.
Which had, so you'll have like some of the rehab centers had some programs back then, and it was, the whole wheelchair sports thing was just getting going.
Exactly.
Quickie, I think Quickie was born that year, which was a wheelchair company.
Yep.
That, when we went from the heavy hospital chairs that you see or used to see to these ultralights, and so then the whole world changed.
And you were one of the guys in high school. It was like, well, why can't I run the track?
Right.
Okay, I'm in a chair, but you were instrumental, and your folks instrumental in getting laws passed, right? That allowed kids in wheelchairs to participate on the track.
Yeah, we were.
Because originally they didn't want you.
No, they said absolutely not. Yeah, actually, as a matter of fact, they didn't even want me to go to the high school. Believe it or not,
Back then it was like...
It was not that long ago. They were like, you need to go to the special school. And they're like, well, he's not that special, but...
wow, so they didn't even want
you... They didn't want me to go to school.
They didn't want any disabled, wheelchair, whatever. You guys, we don't want to see you.
Yeah, so we got through that hurdle, and then I have an identical twin brother and a sister who's here, a year older, and we were all into sports. That's what we did, and... you can get bored pretty quickly and get into the wrong crowd, which I think happens to a lot of people when they have major life changes.
Sure.
Not the wrong crowd, but maybe a little too much of the wrong activities. And my swim coach was instrumental, actually, in practically forcing me to get back out with the team.
Yeah.
And that was the first sort of big step. And then I was the manager for the track team, and I taped everybody up, and I just started pushing him my everyday.
Yes.
I was like, I gotta wait here for somebody to twist their ankle, and then finally said, well, could I maybe do an event?
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's how it started, and then we were the first family to. We ended up having to go to federal court because nobody knew what to do, and they all said, well, it's dangerous. They had all these excuses.
If the wheelchair's on the track with able-bodied runners, that you guys are going to run down the runners.
That's right.
That was
even in a separate event with no runners, it was amazing. But
so even
I was alone, but I was still dangerous.
You were time trial, but you were a problem.
My favorite excuse was that it would void the warranty on the track if a wheeled vehicle was on it. Yeah,
because the rubber tires on the rubber track, it was a
stretch. So that actually, I remember the federal judge laughing at that one, and he's like, I'm pretty sure that means like trucks and semis, but thank you for the concern, but no.
He's not either. Yeah, he's not a truck or a semi.
Yeah, he's not. We're pretty sure that the, rubber pneumatic wheels are better than the half-inch spikes, right? Like, come on, give me a break. So we did 3 years of that, and then I was actually graduated, and because we had to go back and back, it takes forever. And then the judge said that the way they had denied the the participation was illegal. They didn't.
Yes.
The law never really changed. The law's always been there. Nobody challenged it.
Right.
So, and then one of the challenges there weren't the regs. So if you think Title IX, it all comes down to this: do they spell it out?
Right.
And nobody really spelled it out. And now it's a whole different world. Now there's
everybody's.
Yeah, I think there's 17 states now that have.
Well, and a lot of that's because of you still. Because I know
did a
you
little bit
and
of
Lou
that.
Friedland
Yeah.
were both instrumental.
I gotta
because-
go. That's my.
Yeah,
that's all we had.
It's lunchtime. It's time to go train.
that's right.
Too late,
Yeah.
by the way. It's a little late to train. But for you, when you saw that high schools were still not allowing kids to participate in track who were in wheelchairs, you went to court in a lot of these states, or at least were negotiating to make it happen.
Yeah, we did. We did a lot of outreach to parents and families, and we go to junior nationals, the big wheelchair events, and then we created how to advocate, like packages.
Yes.
So that if they wanted to advocate, they would expedite it. Instead of it being 5 years, which was my case, the last one we did, we got it down to 11 months.
Yes.
And that's going, so there was a lot of pieces of that. You'd reach out to legislators and you'd show them, frankly, the numbers that if you get a kid on a team and you put them in a uniform, can fundamentally change their life. And
no question about it.
And especially a student with a disability. So we showed the numbers on what it would cost the state to do what they were continuing to do, which is,
fight it.
Medicare, Medicaid,
Yes.
disability,
good
don't
point.
get an education, and you're on basically on social programs your whole life. Or you get a degree. 80% of kids who do get a degree and do sports go on to college.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and then at that point, they're statistically likely to work. So the swing for one kid, one student who puts on a jersey and goes around in circles on a track was a $3 million spread for the state. So when you talk to legislators like that, they're like, okay, well,
where do I sign up for that?
What's the problem again? You're a wheeled,
You're a wheeled vehicle. That's my favorite
so
thing.
at that point, the state high school athletic associations finally, and then we had to knock heads with a few of them, and that's fine. You got to do that. Sometimes they're going to say no,
right?
Despite all of it. So now it's moving pretty quick. Now the next one's the NCAA. Before I'm 60 or 70.
That's the goal.
We've started. They gotta come around here.
They really do.
They're not doing shit. Can we
Nothing
say
wrong.
that on
Yep,
your show?
You can
Okay.
say whatever you want.
NCAA.
You're Scot Hollonbeck.
So they've asked me 4 times to be on their panels, and I refuse with deep respect because it's just kind of patronizing. Like they're saying words but not doing anything at this point.
They're not allowing wheelchair athletes to
They
participate.
say it's up to their member associations. Their member associations then turn around and say, well, we don't have any national guidelines. Well, okay, chicken or egg here.
Yes.
Somebody's got to move. So
And the reality is, a lot of these kids now with the Paralympics, there's further sport down the line.
Yeah.
And the high schools and colleges can be part of the solution and give these kids a training ground.
Yep.
And actually have those high school kids go on to win medals and get more funding for their programs.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
So it's at this point we're so we got CAFs, we've got so many advocates, we've got all these people who've done all these things over the years that the lights are on,
right?
And the world's a new place. So I'm excited. A lot more kids have access, and people in general. One of the guys here, he got hurt in his 31.
Right.
With a guy from Canada.
Yes.
He's a full-blown adult, and then he flipped on whatever. You're in rehab, and you Google sports, and he's like, "Oh, I want to do Ironman."
Yes.
He's here.
Yeah, exactly. So he basically Googled while he's in the hospital.
That's right.
What can I do now?
Yeah. He asked his daughters, he said, do you think I should go for Ironman or should I go for a Paralympic medal? And then they go, well, show us some photos. And they go,
photos from Kona.
Yeah, they go, Kona looks like a lot more fun. So that's how I picked.
Love that.
It's great.
That
It's
is
a true
awesome.
story.
That is unbelievable. So you were in 4 Olympic Games.
That's right.
92, 96, 2000, 2004.
Can you count the ones I didn't make?
Were there ones that you were...
I tried out in 88.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was an exhibition for you guys to participate. It wasn't Paralympics.
Right.
It was regular Olympics.
That's right. Yeah.
How cool was that? So you're in full stadiums.
So, ironically, I was in full stadiums in the Paralympics. Just nobody in the United States knew that. And then we weren't when we raced in the U.S. But everywhere else, like when I raced in Spain, which was my first games.
Barcelona, okay.
Barcelona, we had the same number of people in the Olympic final that we did in the 1500 that we did in the Paralympic final. And I think the difference was I always said I wanted to go to the Olympics, it was the crown jewel, if you will, to get
Sure.
there. But I wasn't allowed to march. I
What?
wasn't given a uniform. I couldn't stay in the village
Because it was an exhibition?
because of the USOC.
Nice.
Yeah, really. Huh?
Wait, so it's like you're part of it.
So yeah, no, it was horrible. It was like, we're inviting you to our party, but we need you to stay out in the backyard. You know, like
That's unbelievable.
so yeah. So in the last 2 games, it was all about politics for me.
Right.
I tried to organize a boycott with the athletes in Sydney.
Yes.
But the Australians are doing it right. Like, their flag bearer for the Olympics was a Paralympian. And we were in the dark ages, in part because of how a lot of the money flows and how it
Sure.
works. And people had invested so much money in the Olympic Games,
They had
in
nothing
particular
for-
in the U.S. marketplace, because the top sponsors at that
Sure.
time, 6 of the 8 were U.S. companies. They didn't have any money left to spread it out, and they actually saw it as a detraction or a competitor
Of the Olympics.
of their brand
of their
investment.
brand,
Yeah,
okay.
and I get it, but then open it up, right? So we actually went to the Supreme Court with those guys in 2000. That got settled in 2007.
You spent a lot of court time.
34 years, and 6 of it have been in court. So I did 9 years of advocacy with the USOC internally, and
You realized nothing happened there.
Yeah, it was,
They talk in circles.
nobody was going to really, and I worked for Coca-Cola for a while.
Right.
Like, nobody was going to stand up to Coke and Visa at McDonald's. Right? They couldn't, and I get it. So we had to kind of give them a little,
But you were working for Coca-Cola. None of the.
huge inroads. But at the end of the day,
You're an employee. You're not.
you're an
yeah.
employee, which is tough to advocate when you work for somebody. I mean, in some ways.
Yes.
And then secondly, they're still spending, at that point, $240 million investment. They want to get return on that investment.
Sure.
So when the idea to let Pepsi sponsor the Paralympics came up, they weren't crazy about it.
Of course.
So they said no. and I get that, right? But
But if you're not going to do it, then
that's why we had to file.
yes. Yeah,
Because
well,
at that point, I mean, what more can you do? Like, you work for them.
you either
yeah.
sponsor us or let us sell somebody else.
Yeah.
And
So-
even if it's a competing
So
category.
you read, so the medal, so in 2000, I didn't go for a medal.
Okay.
I took for it. I don't want to win another medal for the U.S. Like, right? Like,
Yeah, it was
you
almost.
get what I'm saying?
You're a little conflicted, right?
A lot conflicted. Because even in 2004, the 4th games, we're still not allowed to march. Yeah, so
No uniform.
So at that point, Scott Blackman is now CEO of the USOC.
Yes.
And he was their attorney back when all this was going on. So,
So he's fighting you guys.
I like Scott, but at the end of the day, he was the one saying no.
Wow.
And so, now that's all changed. The day we filed, the budget went from 6 million to 24 million.
Really?
The day we filed suit. So three track athletes filed.
And that's what turned it around.
I turned it, and now
You should be very proud of that.
that was pretty cool. It was fun.
Yeah.
You instantly become persona non grata, which is fine.
I've been there.
Yeah, you get it.
I get it. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was fun. Like,
Yeah.
I wouldn't change it.
So the cool thing is what we see now with the Paralympics, right? I was just in Rio. Obviously, it doesn't get the TV coverage here that it should, but it's still amazing. There was a bond between the spectators there in Rio,
Yeah.
who are obviously have very challenging lives, and watching these guys on the track,
Yep.
right? Sight, vision impaired, amputees, wheelchair athletes. They can relate.
Yeah.
Everybody's living challenging lives, right? We can relate. We can't relate to the basketball guys who come down, stay in a yacht, play a basketball game, and leave. But we can relate to this guy who's pushing around town in a chair and then coming out here and trying to win a medal.
Yeah.
Right? There was a bond there. From your perspective, the Paralympics heading in the right direction?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That part that lets us connect with someone
Yeah.
is still there in the Paralympics. But the downside is, the more it changes and the more the sponsorship raises, just like any sport, the more that ability to connect spreads.
Right.
So I don't know how you can't. I don't think you can stop that.
No.
But Tatiana McFadden was on Ellen. I mean, does it get any bigger than that?
No.
Yeah.
no.
So
she's got a best-selling book and the whole
Oh, yeah,
bit. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
with Scout Bassett from our organization, Scout is sponsored by Citibank and Nike. To me, that's the real testament. Rudy Garcia Tolson is a
Yeah.
Citibank athlete. When the big sponsors realize, I notice Scott more than I notice
Sure.
that able-bodied guy.
Yeah.
He stands out.
Right.
Right? that becomes, it's your point of differentiation, which used to be a negative, is now a positive.
That's right.
I stand out. You notice the scout at 4'8", missing above the knee amputee. You notice her more, and people respond more to her. And the story, I remember the NBC guys telling me once, if you can sum up somebody's story in one sentence, it's not a story, right?
Right.
Scot Hollonbeck is a wheelchair athlete who has been an advocate for wheelchair athletes and is also doing the Ironman. I mean, it goes on and on and on. There's more to you as you unpeel the onion, right?
Sure.
So what does it mean to you to be here in Kona, Hawaii? And what I love about Ironman in particular, this event has always been, hey, okay, John Franks wanted to come over. He came over. He didn't make the bike cutoff time. Sorry. We got a level playing field. John McClain didn't make the bike cutoff time. Second year. Third year made it. The next year, Carlos Maleta goes 10:55, which would have won the event overall. So I like the idea that there was a level playing field, that we didn't change the rules for the hand cycle athletes, but the hand cycle athletes took it upon themselves to kick a lot of able-bodied ass here.
Sure.
And so what do you like about this event?
I mean, it's an honor to be here with all the athletes at all the age group ranges, and so that's inspiring for me. It really is. And then I remember watching this in the 80s and thinking, wow, like that's an event. And I've been a pretty successful athlete as a wheelchair racer and road racer. This is hard.
It's really hard.
This is really hard. So it took me 6 years to be here in what I consider fit and healthy and ready to go. And I love it. I literally seeing the heat shimmering off that road, digging in so deep and just finding your breath and whatever your internal mantra is, and just slowing it down and holding that average it's cool. It's awesome.
You know what else I love? I love the fact when you look at the Boston Marathon and you talk about the legends of Boston, that you've got a Dick and Rick Hoyt in there. You've got a Jim Knaubt in there, right? That we're part of the game. And here, Carlos Maleta, David Bailey. People can name, you talk about Carlos and David in 2000, that race is not much awareness as Mark and Dave in 1989. So that to me is this place is an equal opportunity abuser.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what you're overweight, you big, you small, you're in a chair, you're missing a leg. Come on out.
And
we'll kick your ass.
You got to swim that. You got to swim it. You got to bike it. You got to run it, and it's it's great. And Dave and Carlos have been two friends and mentors, and it's a real honor to know them, as you know, and got to spend 2 years ago with Dave in Greece. We put on a para-triathlete training camp on the island of Rhodes, no less.
Oh, my God.
So we had a blast. He's awesome. And then Carlos, I see him here and there, and we actually roomed together in Lubbock. And so what they did was, move the needle huge.
Yes.
And, they still, like you talk about that time, I'd be jazzed to hit that time.
10:55 or 10 whatever.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. So after this, you obviously still a very talented athlete. What's on the agenda after Ironman?
So sports or
anything.
So like I'll do New York Marathon, and I'll always stay fit as long as I can. But I'm headed down to Peru to do some work with Rainforest Preservation Group. I've moved those advocacy skills over to sustainable living and let's just call it sustainable living, I guess is the best. Like, how are we going to survive on this planet? So I'm going to do some work in Peru, and
good for you.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years now, and I love it. And so we'll see what we can do there, but that's real important to me. And again, just like how do each of us find that better, higher self? And that's been my neck. That's something I'm working on. So yeah,
always a pleasure. Thanks for all the support of Challenge Athletes Foundation. Poncho Man, take us out.
It's breakfast with Bob and Brother Scott.
Woo! Poncho Man!